We spend so much time talking about the code, the data, the algorithms behind AI. But what if the real key to ethical AI isn't hiding in a line of code at all? What if it's found in the hallways of the company that built it? Today, we're going to dig into that critical and honestly often overlooked link between a company's culture and whether its AI actually succeeds or fails.
Let's start on the ground floor with a really powerful real world example. Research into warehouses that are managed by algorithms paints a pretty tough picture. You have workers who feel like they're being constantly watched, measured, and, well, objectified. Now, this isn't some technical glitch. Nope, it's the direct result of a system designed with one single value in mind: pure, relentless productivity. And that is the human cost of AI in action.
And that really brings us to the biggest question we have to ask ourselves, right? We all know AI is this revolutionary force. It's changing everything. But are we truly prepared to manage its impact on actual people? Are we even looking in the right place for the answers? Okay, so let's zoom out from that specific warehouse floor. AI isn't some niche tech anymore. It is being woven into the very fabric of every single industry. And as its use goes up and up, well, so do the ethical missteps.
I mean, the headlines are just full of this stuff. We've seen hiring tools that systematically discriminate against people, social media algorithms that act like super spreaders for misinformation, and just countless cases of privacy violations. The common thread here is that even with the best intentions, organizations are really struggling to govern these powerful tools effectively.
So when these failures happen, what's the usual excuse we hear? Oh, it was bad data, or a rogue algorithm, maybe a technical glitch. See, these explanations all frame the problem as a purely technical one. But the research we're looking at today says that's all just noise. Those are symptoms. The root cause, the real reason for these failures, is something much more human: organizational culture.
And this right here is the core idea, stated perfectly in the Muma Business Review. The big challenge isn't debugging the code, it's designing the culture. A company's internal values, its norms, that's what's ultimately going to decide if its AI is a force for good. So, what exactly do we mean by organizational culture? Well, think of it like a company's DNA or its personality. It's not just the formal code of conduct hanging on the wall, it's the unwritten rules, right? The daily behaviors that actually get rewarded, the projects that get the green light, and the tough questions that are encouraged. Or maybe the ones that get silenced. Okay, so how does this connection actually work in the real world? In this next section, we're going to break down exactly how a company's humanware, its people, and their environment shapes AI outcomes, often way more powerfully than any piece of software or hardware ever could. This plays out the two sides of the cultural coin. On one side, you have the enablers. These are cultures with leaders who are truly committed, who focus on turning big ideas into actual practice, and who really invest in teamwork and training. But then you've got the other side, the barriers, cultures that starve ethics projects of resources, that prioritize speed over everything else. The move fast and break things mindset, and that leave their ethical principles as just vague statements that nobody knows how to act on. And this right here is the crucial point. Does your company's culture make it safe for people to raise a red flag when they spot a potential problem? Or does it create this sense of crazy urgency where questioning the project just makes you look like you're slowing things down? The answer to that question will probably predict whether ethical issues get caught early or if they become huge public crises. Now look, this isn't just a hunch or some vague idea. There is solid behavioral science that explains exactly why culture is so powerful. Let's dive into two classic theories that really show us the mechanics of how this all works. So first up is something called the theory of planned behavior. It sounds a little academic, but it's a really simple and powerful idea. Basically, our intention to do something, let's say to act ethically, is shaped by three things: our own attitude about it, the social norms or pressure we feel from everyone around us, and whether we believe we actually have the power to do it. And here's where it all clicks into place. A strong ethical culture directly pulls on all three of those levers. It shapes positive attitudes by making it clear that ethical work is valued. It sets the social norm by making responsible behavior the default, not the exception. And it gives employees that sense of control by providing the training and, importantly, the permission they need to act. For a manager, this means culture isn't some fuzzy concept. It's a practical toolkit for guiding your team's choices. Okay, the second theory is the diffusion of innovations. This one helps explain how new ideas like, say, AI ethics practices spread through a group of people. Some people jump on board right away, those are your innovators, while others kind of wait until the very, very end, those are the laggards. So just think of AI ethics as that new innovation. An organization with a supportive, open, forward-thinking culture, they're way more likely to be an early adopter, proactively building in those ethical guardrails. But a resistant culture, one that fights change, they're going to be a laggard, only changing their ways when a crisis or a new regulation forces them to. Now, where do you think most companies would rather be on that curve? And just to be clear, this isn't just theory. The data absolutely backs it up. This heat map pulls together findings from 21 different sources, and it maps out how often key cultural factors were mentioned together. The darker the shade, the stronger the link. So don't think of it as just a list. Think of it as a map of an entire cultural system. And the key takeaway here is just impossible to miss. Follow that top row for leadership commitment. It is deeply connected to everything else, especially turning principles into practice and building trust with stakeholders. The data is crystal clear. Leadership isn't just part of an ethical culture. It is the cornerstone that holds the entire thing together. When leaders are committed, it creates this ripple effect that makes everything else possible. All right, so we've established the why. Now let's get into the how. This final section is a practical playbook for leaders who actually want to build a culture that actively supports responsible AI. The research points to 5 essential moves. First, leaders have to define and truly deeply commit to a set of core values. Second, you have to turn those values into practical tools, things like checklists and impact assessments. Third, build ethics right into your formal governance structure. Fourth, create a culture where people feel psychologically safe to ask the tough questions. And finally, and this is a big one, frame AI ethics not as some bureaucratic burden, but as a genuine driver of quality, trust, and real business value. And hey, this isn't just on the companies themselves. Policymakers have a huge role to play in shaping the entire ecosystem. They can help by creating flexible standards, by mandating transparency, by supporting education, and by bringing a lot of different voices into the governance process. This is what creates the external conditions that help healthy internal cultures to really thrive. So we'll end with this. It's time to stop thinking about AI ethics as a compliance checklist or some technical problem you can just solve with more code. Start thinking of it as a direct output of your organization's culture. Your culture is your AI strategy. The only question left is it ready for the challenge?